Hello students, let's try to decode ethics a little bit. See, as you already know, ethics paper 4 broadly has two parts. One is so-called theory, the other is case studies. And as you already know, your answers, your quality of answers, your quality of expression, preciseness in the case studies very well depend on your hold on theory. Correct? And what do you actually mean by hold on theory? That actually or clearly indicates conceptual clarity. Now, when we say conceptual clarity in ethics, that clearly suggests your understanding, your how much you have internalized that particular concept, ethical concept, which is part of the theory. Let's take an example. See, as the very first part of the syllabus says, there is a word with human values. So let's decode this. Why? Because as our understanding of terms, ethical terms, becomes refined, your understanding of theory becomes precise and holistic, which anyway is going to help you in rest of the paper, including case studies. See, now there are two words with human values. Okay, why it is okay? What is human in this? What is values in this? See, human. Now we need to understand one thing. This particular concept of human has come from the specific connotation of or specific assumption that any living being is basically an animal. An animal means, as against human, animal means somebody who is only cared about self survival, self interest, or rather we would say all the activities of those animals fall within the predictable lines of survival. So any particular animal is not generally expected to be very ethical if it comes to his or her own survival. Obviously the animal is expected to do it. Like for example, if there is a tiger is expected to kill deer so that he can fill his stomach, it can fill his stomach. There we generally don't apply ethical rules. Why? Because the whole psychological system of animal fall within this singular bracket or what we can say parallel lines, predictable parallel lines of survival. When it comes to us, because of the evolutionary process, because of the so many environmental changes, we have come to be human, not just animals. Human, so point is, when we say human, we actually indicate, yes, we are animal plus something. This something is vaguely can be said as ethics. Why? What is ethics? Ethics means simply keeping self aside, considering or taking into consideration the interests of the others. So, subsiding self and focusing on others. What happens here? Focusing on self. So, because that particular animal, that is human being, thinks for others, sometimes subsiding his or her own self, that is ethical, that is ethics, and that's why we are called human. So when we say human action, it is inherently means, at least in this paper, ethical action. Or we say human values, in this particular paper it is called ethical values. What makes that particular value human is how much ethical it is. Okay, so that's how we decode or decipher the word human. Let's go to the values. So values. Now what is value? For that matter, what is value? Simply put, something that you value. So it is very simplistic definition just for understanding. So something becomes value if that particular person or society or a collective unit calls as valuable. And in this particular paper, when we say value, we talk about ethical value. That means any such a principle, idea, concept, any such a principle, idea, concept, which the particular person or society values, it's called value. And when it comes to, when we said human value is the value in particular on the ethical basis which that particular person or society values. Take an example, simple example, honesty or punctuality. Now these are values. For example, honesty, what does it mean? Now when we say honesty as a value for any particular person or a society, that means that particular person or the society holds that particular principle as valuable for his survival and the survival of others. Now in that way, some people hold money as very important. Yes, they value money. But when we say ethical value or human value, we talk about such a value which is based on the principle of altruism or principle of benefits to others, not just to me. So that is ethical base on which these values stand. So when we say punctuality is the value, means we say this principle of punctuality, that is coming on time, going on time, is actually nothing but respecting the time of others, respecting the efforts of others. So punctuality, if someone holds that as very important, means that person comes on time. Obviously he will not be late, he will not let others to wait for him. So that is a ethical value, and any ethical value will always be desirable. Any ethical value will always be expected into the next person by the others, because, and that is not just for one person, everybody else in exchange expect the same thing from the others. That's how we make our society more and more ethical, or rather we say, and you would have heard it many times, that society based on ethical values. What does it mean? Society of which most of the people holds ethical principles as valuable. There is, now that we talked about principle, like honesty is a principle. There are some ideas, for example, pluralism. Pluralism. What is pluralism means? Respecting the diversity, respecting the manyness, and not running behind the monoculture of anything. So this is, we can call this is as an idea. Pluralism is like an idea, multiculturalism is an idea, secularism is an idea. So if society as a whole consider this idea as a valuable thing for the society, desirable thing for the society, if in that case that idea becomes value. So that's how idea becomes value. Take example of concept also. For example, the concept of humanism, that is part of idea also, they are not very different, or scientific temper now, or rational inquiry. See, these are concepts, these are approaches, these are ideas. But if particular person, like for example, if there is a person who holds scientific temper as a very important value for himself and for the others, will never believe blindly on any superstitious thing, and that will benefit the society, because science is based on reasonableness, ethics is also based on reasonableness. The only difference between science and ethics, simply put, is ethics is a subjective science based on subjective principles, subjective rational critical reasoning, whereas obviously when we study, we will try to bring in objectivity so that we can put it in words, because unless you objectify, it is very difficult to put it in words. Words are limiting. So an logic is also limiting. So if you want to objectify something or bring into the objective principles, objective yardsticks, you have to put it in words, and that's how it goes on. But these particular values, when it is practiced, these are subjective values. These are subjective values based on, again, reasoning. Now, how ethical value is based on reasoning? You put an honesty on test. There is a value of honesty. Okay, let's deliberate whether it is really a good value, desirable value or not. Take an example, that person, there is a person who finds a bag laying on the table or road somewhere, or where a bus, and then somebody comes to that particular place and asks, I had actually lost a bag here, so if anybody knows, can you give it back to me? So in that case, that person would have just opened the bag, take out the money or whatever valuables are there, economic valuables are there, and just given the bag, where he is giving back the bag, but then all the valuables he has taken with economic valuables, material valuables, he has taken with him. That means he did not actually value the honesty as compared to the value of money or his material survival or pleasure, whatever you want to call it. So when someone values these ethical principles, and I already told you, ethical principles means such a principles if on which society or an individual bases his or her life or society's general daily activities, it benefits all and it harms none. So that's how values are decoded, and that is what word human values means. What I was trying to tell you is basically the first half of the ethics paper, that is philosophical, or I would not call it philosophical, actually it's conceptual or basics rather. It actually based on critical reasoning and understanding the concept, understanding the rationale first of all, and then applying those to the, first of all, personalized real life imagined scenarios, and obviously try to inculcate those values in you. That is also expected in the that is also expected by the UPSC in you, and this is exactly what is going to give you more and more marks. And also the point that we were talking about is these particular concepts, all the concepts has a specific meaning. Specific doesn't mean it is rigid, but it is a specific meaning, and if we try to understand it, try to conceptualize it and understand it, grasp it, obviously we tend to appreciate it more, and when we tend to appreciate it more, we tend to follow it. And this is exactly what UPSC is also expecting from you, not immediately, not in one night or just because 1 year you studied ethics, nothing like that. They are expecting it to happen over the period of time, because no society has changed or improved their ethical principles on the in one day, or in one night, or in 1 year, nothing like that. It takes time. It happens brick by brick. This is exactly the principle UPSC is also applying in our paper, so that once you go there, you still keep these things in your mind and try to act on it, because obviously there are so many other aspects also we are going to discuss in other lecture. What makes people not to follow this, what are other things that actually influence the person and takes away his ability to act on these principles. Are there any other things that he or she considers or more attractive, more desirable? Those dilemmas and things like that we certainly will consider, will discuss in detail, which certainly will help you in case study. So this is how we are going to discuss ethics, and I am very much excited to discuss those things with you, because I am very sure once you create this baseline, once you create this critical understanding of the concepts, it will be very easy for you to build upon it, and every brick that you build upon will improve your marks proportionately. Thank you.
Hit the bell icon to never miss an update from LevelUp IAS. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.